You know, I think in the 90s, everyone was training like Dorian. Even the people who might have gone back to high volume because they were volume trainers, everyone said, Dorian's big, we got to train like this. And there was a lot of bodybuilders that were training with lower volume, maybe not the extent of Dorian. I never went as low as Dorian went, but my volume was way cut back, and I found that it worked really well for my physique when I did that. But then there's always guys that just are volume guys. Now, you know, I was talking to this guy who does DNA testing, and he was telling me that there are certain, you know, enzyme systems that people have that just make them more, and gene, you know, expression proteins that just make them more able to train longer. They just have the ability to recover with long training. Supposedly Ronnie Coleman has that gene. I forget what the name of the gene is, where you can just train more frequently with high intensity and even more volume, and you can recover. I certainly don't have that. You put me in the gym too long and I disappear. It's like my muscles, I can continue to go, I'll continue to train, I won't stop, but I'll get weaker and I'll get smaller. And that's just my metabolic rate. So it's really a blessing. People think it's not a curse, because I can do less and get more out of it. And I think that that's more efficient, really. So, you know, like I said, everyone's a little different.
Let's go to our Instagram questions. If you're not following us, our handle is official_RXMuscle. And as we've been doing during this Iron Road to the Olympia, the run up to the 2019 Olympia, and of course, during Olympia weekend, we are loading up our feed, our stories, with the content that we're putting up on RXMuscle.com and the YouTube channel, as well as keeping you up to date with the latest progress pictures from some of the top competitors in the different divisions. And then, of course, that weekend, we are going to be loading up the Instagram story, the feed, whoever you run into, whatever cool things are going on Olympia weekend, that's going to be documented. Again, official_RXMuscle. Let's go to Lane Hughes, huge fan of the show. What's the lowest amount of tren Anthony I could run with 600 mg testy and 400 mg and avoid the sides but still gain?
You know, you'd be shocked at how potent trenbolone as a drug is. I challenge you to use very small amounts of it and tell me you don't get results. People think because everyone's on, 500-600 milligrams a week, which is ridiculous, that they have to do that. Do 50 milligrams of tren and anthate twice a week. If you want to really go crazy, do 100 milligrams, or do 150 milligrams per week. 75 and 75. That's what we did back in the day. Parabone was 76 milligrams. You took 2 ampules a week. Try that. I guarantee you get good results on it, and I bet you don't have this negative side effects. When we took Parabone back in the day, they came in these little amps. They were a cc and a half, and the cc and a half contained 76 milligrams of trenbolone. I think it was an anthate or one of the other longer acting ones. I can't remember the name of the ester, but it was a long acting ester. And you would take 2 of these, and everyone said, don't do more than 2, okay? And if you wanted to get a little risky, you do 3 of them, like right before a show, maybe the last 2 weeks. But I'm telling you, I never had a negative side effect from it, okay, ever. All I got was positives, and it worked. So obviously the drug is potent enough. I think people are just taking too freaking much of it, and because they're taking too much of it, they're getting high prolactin levels and they're getting the side effects. I never heard anyone in the 90s report of sex drive or inability to get an erection from taking trenbolone. It just didn't happen because no one took that much of it. It's definitely dose related, absolutely no doubt about it.
Interesting question here from Encore497. It's about Branch Warren. Had Branch Warren trained with, quote, sanity and full range of motion, what do you think would have been the difference in his physique?
Knowing Branch, he probably wouldn't have looked like Branch. I think for his body, it worked. Let me tell you a good story about my good friend Jimmy Pellecchia. Jimmy Pellecchia, when I first met him and I saw him in the gym, I thought he was out of his fucking mind. First of all, he was the scary. Everyone's like, don't talk to him when he's training, because he would scream, huh, 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 and he would do these short reps with ridiculous amounts of weight on the bar. He would break bars in the gym. He would bend bars. He was like, gym owners didn't want him in the gym. And you would think there's no way you can build muscle with what he was doing. All momentum type stuff, but he figured out a system the way it worked, and it worked for his body. And his body grew. He was enormous, okay? But if the normal person tried to do that, they probably would have killed themselves. But I knew a guy, he was just a regular guy. He used to own a strip club. He used to train with Jimmy every day. Jimmy really got him to spot him. But Jimmy taught him the system. And this guy was doing the same crazy stuff as Jimmy, and he was actually responding to it. So there is a system behind what Branch Warren does. It's just Branch's system. And if you try to do it and you don't know what you're doing, you'll get very hurt. So that's why Branch grew doing that. Now, if Branch trained conventionally, I don't know. Maybe he would have looked the same. Maybe he wouldn't have. I really don't. Maybe he wouldn't have torn as many muscles. But what Branch did worked for him. And that's why it was, the right thing. So you can't say, what if he would have done this or would have done that? Because he didn't. That's not how he trained.